What is up, folks? Casual Dad here with our second round of the Armageddon campaign. And I'm really excited about this one because it's the bad guys. And it's not because they're the bad guys. I'm really excited about this because I tend to play the non-Imperial factions just because I personally find them more interesting. And I really enjoy the mechanics of their cards and the way their decks work because they're just a little bit weirder than the standard stuff. But also the campaigns that start with your Imperial loyalists, like quote-unquote good factions, and then if they have the mirror version that plays the bad factions like these ones do, the bad factions are significantly more challenging. So last time we played Tau, Eldar, Servants, and Space Marines, and this time we're playing Orcs, Chaos, Necrons, and or Tyranids. Now in the first video I did go ahead and I played through, I actually didn't play any of the campaign at all before I did the video. This time, however, I have played quite a bit into it, and I'm more than halfway through, just because I wanted to get a better handle of the campaign before I recorded the video and actually have some deck builds handy. I did get a comment on my last video that a lot of my deck builds aren't terribly helpful for new players, and I'm sorry about that. But looking at these modifiers, even playing field gives you max level, which is good for new players. Special requisitions gives you the max dex points. Apocalypse is where it gets challenging because these campaigns are extremely difficult and do rely on you having a pretty significant selection of cards. You can get around that, but it's much more challenging if you're missing those key epics and legendaries that you tend to get at higher level. The Aura of Rage modifier is somewhat neutral. It does come up, but it doesn't really matter what your user level is for that one. So it's really that Apocalypse piece that makes this particularly challenging for new players. So I'll try to mention some alternatives and things you can use in place of the more unusual cards, but one thing I do want to note is I don't have any super heavies. I don't have any Lords of War. So far as I understand it, the only way to get those was through either random rewards, either like winning a prize, not like a card pack, or through actually buying them with real money, which I haven't done. So I don't have any of those, so for me, I've actually had trouble actually filling these decks. When you're looking at a 400 deck point deck, it's pretty tough to get everything in there and actually fill to points if you don't have really, really expensive cards. To go ahead and run through the Warlords a little bit, so right here you've got these Warlords. One thing I was really excited to talk about is that something I missed in the past video was that in that Empire campaign, you could actually mix and match your factions. So you could have different cards inside your decks regardless of what faction they were, as long as they were in that association. That's not the case here. So in this one, you get a different selection of factions, but within each faction you can only choose cards from that faction, which is a bit of a bummer because I'd already scouted out which Chaos Warlords actually have, or which Warlords in this selection have abilities that are friendly card agnostic, and a couple ones that came up were, let's see, trying to remember, Snickrot. Let's check on that again. And I'm just going to do this real quick. And one I know is Ahriman. Ahriman's ability doesn't care if it's a Chaos card or not. His ability will just hit anyone. Someone like Abaddon, his ability impacts any card as well, because, oh, nope, there it is, never mind. So it does specifically say Chaos cards. Let's see, who else did I look at? Some cases are going to be Swarmlord doesn't care, because his ability only triggers against the enemy. Any ability that specifically affects enemy cards is not necessarily impacted by what faction your cards are. So the Flyrant, Stormlord is, let's see. One that surprised me, because I'd never really thought about it before, is Skulltaker. Skulltaker is faction agnostic. So you could mix and match decks with Skulltaker if the cards are available, and the ability would trigger regardless of what card is attacking, because it's impacted by the enemy's health, not by your specific card. Likewise, Trazen doesn't care either. Of course he doesn't. Ah, yes it does. Never mind. Okay. Man, I just missed out. Alright, enough of that. So, just to run through some of the things that I've seen. So I saw Red Might, the Imperial Knight Warlord from some campaigns, pretty early in the campaign. That was a bit of a shock. I also saw the Lion, kind of smack in the middle, the Primarch himself. So there's been some definitely nasty surprises in here. I have been keeping some track of which decks I used where, not as well as I'd like. So a couple ones I want to highlight right off the bat. Skulltaker has been hit or miss with me, and I used this deck with him. Really leaning on those melee hits, some fear, some death blow, and those are kind of generally just really good things to include in decks with this modifier, with this kind of level, because you're going to lose your big heavy hitting cards, but they will have beefed up melee attacks before they die, and having that extra damage can really help kind of push things through, and it can be really clutch. So this guy's in here in part because he's got that and to fill points. He's also got a lot of hit points and really good melee, so he likes punching stuff anyway, but that's just a good key piece in there. Another one of the most important pieces you can have in this campaign is going to be your Big Game Hunter. Big Game Hunter is absolutely huge because the majority of cards you're going to go up against have crazy amounts of hit points and cost more than 40 points by a mile. So really key ability to filter in there when you can. Another one is going to be your target acquired. So regardless of what commonality of cards you're using, regardless of that, those are 3 traits to look for. It's going to be, again, that Death Blow, Big Game Hunter, and target acquired. Of those, I would probably put Big Game Hunter at the top of the list, but not a lot of these factions have really good access to Big Game Hunter. One exception being, where are you, buddy? Necrons. So before I get to that, take a quick look at this Skull Taker deck. That's what I've gone. Uses your heaviest hitting melee cards, uses a couple pieces with fear. It's got some Medicae in there and some top level poison. It's a really just kind of solid balanced deck. And another thing I want to point out is I do have a couple cards in here that are under 40 points. Because as important as Big Game Hunter is on your side, a lot of opposing cards also have Big Game Hunter, which has them make short work of your kind of beefy cards. So you do want to sprinkle in some things that won't be hit extra by that. In this case, I've only got the 2, so my Skull Taker deck actually was at a bit of a disadvantage, but I had trouble filling this deck. So there's that one. Then one I recently fell into was the Emotech, the Storm Lord. Great. Don't pop up all over the place. This was an interesting one because you do get quite a bit of target acquired. Excuse me, not target acquired, my bad. You do get quite a bit of really hard-hitting melee, especially with people like Enrunkir, also under 40. Some nice shields, which is another really valuable trait in CMET. And then you've got Big Game Hunter in Magla Droth. This deck I really enjoyed. It's one where I felt like I was losing all game. I was definitely making headway, but then I just felt like I was losing. But then in the end, I remembered that my final card is the Storm Lord, who hits like a truck. So I was actually fairly easily able to win that game. And that was against... don't remember who that was. Look at me not taking notes. Anyway, so this is a really good deck, and it's a really good thing to remember that Necrons have some particularly powerful cards in this campaign. They've got Heavy Fear, they've got Regen, they've got Big Game Hunter, they've got Shields and Inspire together. They've got some really good Medicae and some really good Fear, and so cheap Fear as well. That guy's gonna die in one hit no matter what. Don't even worry about the Fear. He's not gonna take more than one hit from most of the things in this game, because most of the opposing decks you're gonna hit do have super heavies in them at least somewhere. So just to go ahead and run through this, I'm gonna run through the decks I know are successful, and then I'm gonna talk about the ones that I really, really struggled with. So top of the list. Well, I'm going to start at the bottom, actually. I've had some quests to look at Wartsnagget, this guy right here. And I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly so I can get to some actual games. This one was hilarious. This is super risky. One of the huge downsides to having decks this size, if you want to get anywhere close to the full 400 deck points, you have to run a full deck. It's very unlikely you can leave a single slot open and still have your 400 deck points without a super heavy. If you can, you may want to, because one of the problems with that 400 deck points is you have practically no control over what card you're going to play. So if you need any control, where in this case I only have the 2 endless cards to trigger the ability, if you want to play them early, it's pretty hard to get that or to guarantee that from your first couple card pulls. I got lucky in the game that I played with him where I got both of these guys first thing, dropped them both, got the max bonus, and it was against Eldrad. There's a very scary Eldrad deck in this, and I was able to pull it out. It was pretty funny because Wartsnagget himself did a Hail Mary final hit, and he actually killed Eldrad hand-to-hand, which is probably not going to happen very often in ladder or in these campaigns. So it did that. Next up was kind of a surprise winner, was the Swarm Lord. I personally use the Swarm Lord a lot, but in these max level campaigns, I tend to shrug him off because he's one that doesn't really... he's not that much scarier between middling and max level, just because he still has shields, he still has Inspire, he still has crazy stats. His hit points go way up, which is nice, but his cost is also really high, but 400 deck points doesn't care. His ability, though, I thought of this guy because in the last campaign I had a lot of trouble with the Silent King, Zarek. he gave me a ton of trouble because of his ready ability kept applying debuffs at the end of every turn. So I had a really hard time building up enough offensive power to take him down. Swarmlord does the same, passively, regardless of what cards you have on the table. Just does that debuff to your opponents based on which attack deck they use. So if they're a very heavy themed deck that wants to shoot you a lot, then ranged weapons will constantly be blunted, which really, really helped. Swarmlord I used to beat the Lion. So the Lion himself. The Swarmlord is one of the few warlords who was able to get to the table, go toe-to-toe with the Lion, and actually take him down. And it was actually a relatively easy game after I lost with a different deck. So with the Swarmlord, I've always run all Psychers. You can see I mix this a little bit to fill deck points. Again, that Death Blow and really heavy-hitting card here. And then this guy has that Fear and Barrage. That Fear and high hit points, this guy has been really great in Tyranid decks. Of course, quite rare, unlikely to have him. I just wanted to make sure to point him out. So I do really recommend running Tyranid Psychers. They get very, very powerful at high levels, and there's not a lot of Psychic in the opposing decks, except one thing that's been fun about this campaign is it's full of spoilers. Every single match is against a different warlord, and they do different things, and so they can be beaten with different counters, which has been fun, but it's been a lot of trial and error. So this one was great against the Lion. And then next up I had the Parasite. This was a really challenging match. So the Parasite of Mortrax, always been one of my favorite warlords. Really love the chance to play him at max level. Red Might, the Imperial Knight warlord, is very hard to punch through because he's got multiple super heavies in that deck, and all of them do, I think, 20% bonus damage in all their attack stats and receive reduced damage as well. So that extra armor really made them tanky. Even though it's a smaller deck, it's very, very difficult to get through. The Parasite was a really perfect counter to him because his ability, where when an enemy card dies after being hit with a melee attack at least once, it then does, I believe, 40% of his base wound to adjacent cards. So if you're actually removing a single really beefy, powerful card with this guy, it does actually add additional. It's very helpful because it will do a lot of extra damage to overflow. So, and that will also go through shields. The shields that this guy had, there are a lot of shields in that deck, and they're very hard to punch through because it's a combination of shields and very high hit points. Parasite is very good about getting around that, about getting around really high health fear cards, and about just generally doing a bunch of damage to harder targets. Not having something like Artemis in this whole lineup, Parasite has been a close second for me. So I really was proud of that game. To beat the Magus, Rakarth, and the Canoness, those all were this is probably the #1 best deck I put together. I've seen some other people talking about this too. Huron. Max level Huron Blackheart is a monster. Because of just the way this campaign works, all of your cards, or all of your opposing cards are very, very powerful, and you need the staying power to take them down, but also you need something that builds up your attack stats to the point where you can actually be a threat throughout the game, where you don't lose momentum part way. That's actually where Snickrot completely let me down, is he's good, but his ability is sort of limited. You only have so much target acquired, especially when you have to fill these deck points, and he just didn't do it for me. I fell apart in the latter half. Likewise for Zemet. Both of those are very powerful, but completely fell apart. Zagstruck I did actually win with, but it was close. But Huron is the only warlord in the game who can permanently buff your offensive stats without being on the board himself. So of course, Abaddon could do it, but Abaddon you have to be on the board to do it, and so it's a late game piece, and that is really risky. Have not run it in this campaign because I don't want to just lose. Likewise, Gaz, I like him, but since he doesn't contribute anything during the course of the game, he let me down. So he himself was punchy enough, but the not having any kind of support ability from your warlord really is a huge disadvantage in games that are this long and this punchy, potent. There are a fair number of warlords I haven't tried, but again, I did win once with Wartsnaga. I lost with both Snickrot and Zemet pretty decidedly. I did win with Zagstruck, but it was challenging. If you're looking for, I'll jump back to this one in a second. If you're looking for a deck to play with more common cards, I did mention that most of these decks don't have a ton of Psychic, and you can really quickly fill Orc cards fairly well. This is a good deck to try, or whatever equivalent you have. You've got a lot of Dreadnoughts, things that can really benefit from melee attacks. So you've got some Deathblow, you've got some Fear, you've got some Psychic. Things that will do well in this meta. There's a lot of common options you can throw in here. So I do recommend taking a look at Zagstruck, but it's going to be a tough play. Against the Tau Warlords, there are quite a few cases where you'll get some free damage in, which is great, but you will struggle to deal the damage long term, and then Zagstruck himself is pretty squishy in the end game, so he's a bit of a challenging piece to win with. Trazen also is another one you can use who will, I actually haven't played with him at all yet. He's one who will really help kind of shore up your weaknesses because you'll actually be able to steal opposing cards to kind of pull him in. But it's going to be really challenging because these cards are very difficult to kill, and a lot of the time you'll either not be hitting that margin or you're doing too much damage and killing them outright. So his ability is a really tricky one to trigger. It's worth trying though, and he's an especially easy one to get with kind of lower rarity cards. So he's one I might go ahead and recommend. Skull Taker, of course, is a good choice. He's got a really, really good synergy with this event. I personally had some trouble winning with him, but it probably depended on the matchup. So plus or minus. I think I was 50-50, 1-2, lost 2 with Skull Taker. But then let's go back to the Huron deck. Oh, another one to mention. Mozrog is really, really good on this modifier because he gives his cards constant healing. Every time they do a melee attack, they get a percentage of their health back, which is really nice to get you some staying power. I did win my one game I played with Mozrog. The combination of his healing and most of the most powerful cards with him also have Berserk is great. So they're both healing and then actually building up attack over time in addition to the modifier. So it's good, but the game that I played with him was uncomfortably close because Mozrog is kind of slow and a lot of the opposing decks you're going to run into this are very, very fast. So that's kind of where Huron is a good piece because he is bursty, where you have a lot of high power cards that can hit very quickly early on, but then also you can follow that up with cards that now have the attack stats that they've absorbed from opponents. So this is a really good one. Notice it does lean on melee, but does have quite a bit of ranged and psychic just to balance that out. And of course you've got your classic Greater Demon combo here, and then Syl-esque is quite rare, but if you have this one, it's a good one. But you can sub out for any number of other options. Key things I want to mention, I have Medicae, I've got Target Acquired, and Taunt. I have Fear. This is kind of an odd piece, but it is in there, and it's done pretty well because it has that Fear and high hit points. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and let's go ahead and see how this goes. Oh, hang on, almost done. So yes, so Huron I specifically beat. There's a Magus deck that's very, very scary. There's a Rakarth deck that's very challenging, and there's a Canoness deck that scared the pants off me. The Canoness, they're all very thematic too. So the Canoness deck was all Sisters of Battle, and there's some very weird ones and a lot of shields. So I've mentioned a couple times things that are good against shields. Your Psychic, your Psionic Blast, where it's Area of Effect Psychic, your Barrage. A lot of the decks you do hit in this are very heavy ranged, so I don't necessarily recommend leaning on Barrage unless you're going to do it defensively. So that Psionic Blast is really good because a lot of these enemy teams aren't running Psychic. But let's go ahead and see what's up. Magus, Rakarth, Canoness, I know I beat with Huron. There are a few I didn't take notes on. Azrael, I've already fought on Azrael, but it's been a while, but they ran out of Warlords. So I did see very few copies. So nearly every single, oh god, a deck of 13 cards. Nearly every single game I've played has been against a different Warlord. Okay, interesting start. And so we're seeing a lot of variety. This may be a really good matchup. It's looking like this is going to be mostly just numbers, so a whole lot of reasonably cheap cards just all sort of aligned against me. But we'll see how this goes. That can be very scary with Azrael because he's able to beef those attack stats permanently. So as long as he chooses anything but ranged as his attack next turn, he'll give all of these cards a flat bonus to their attack stats. But I should be able to clear these guys fairly quickly, and we'll see what else is behind these. So this should be a pretty tame one to start with, and then we can go ahead and see where it goes from there. Another really good thing about the Lord of Change is just so good, because it's got that regen as well on top of this to kind of keep him topped off. So to help reduce your reliance on Medicae and help him sustain through the game, especially if you can start him out in a relatively comfortable position against opponents that don't hit that hard, which is tricky. But that's a way for him to accumulate extra health to kind of see it through to the end of the game. In my last match, I was very proud. I believe that was against the Magus, and that was a tough game. I believe my Syl-esque survived the entire game. So those attack stats at the very end were just absurd for something like 600 damage by itself, because you're building up the passive modifier from the event, and you're also building up based on the attacks you're making and the opponents you're taking out. And it already started at a very high melee attack, so You will be seeing a lot of the Dark Angels cards. Belial is a very challenging piece with those max shields on top of pretty solid stats, and then of course Azrael's ability for him long term to beef up his attack stats. He's a very scary piece. The max level poison, I really like poison. It's a really clutch piece to have, but at the same time, it's not going to decide the game. So when in doubt, don't include poison unless it's also with another trait that's really benefiting you. In this case, that Medicae and then some pretty solid attack stats really make the difference there. It is just kind of a gravy to have the, oh yeah, oh I love it. How many shields do you got left? 1, perfect. It really is just gravy in addition to that Medicae to also have the poison. Shields down, let's make a mess. Something that's good to keep in mind, but I've kind of not pulled off, is that you also do want your Lord of Change, Lord of Change to take out enemy Psychers when possible, so that you can beef up that aura of the AoE Psychic Blast. Pretty tricky, but it is nice if you can pull it off. And now here, obviously, I don't want any of my expensive things to be across from that big game hunter. Okay, perfect, cool. So this should be a relatively easy match. Oh, especially if he does that. Ooh, maybe not. God, that's a lot of damage. Okay, all right. Let's see where that came from. But that was a lot to take out some relatively, to take out some pretty key cards. Yikes. And then after that, he's almost certainly going to do ranged. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. So this may end up actually being quite close. That's the card I want to die, because he's the biggest threat to my Lord of Change. Should be no problem, especially because my Lord of Change at this point is doing a lot of melee damage, or a lot of range damage as well. Let's see. I certainly don't want to do that. Do we do melee? And the reason I'm asking this is just to talk through this. So if I do Psychic, I'm guaranteed to kill him, but if I do melee, I'm also guaranteed to kill him, but there's a chance that he'll die before... No, we'll go ahead and do this. I was looking to see if there's a way for my Lord of Change to still kill the plane in front of him, but I don't think there's a way to do that. So, okay, so we got some squishies, so I should be able to punch through this, and if I can make sure to clear some of these side lanes before Azrael himself drops, this should be a relatively easy finish. Ugh. Especially with the amount of range damage this guy's pumping out. Oh, pfft. Easy. So this is the guy I want to die. That also puts my high cost fear right across from Azrael himself for when he comes back on board. Oh man, yeah, look at those stats. Look at those stats. Okay, so this is a... I shouldn't say this. I could still lose this. It's something I need to be very careful of. It's unlikely at this point, but I do want to be very careful. So all of these have had some pretty nasty surprises. Okay, so this is a comfortable win. I should have realized that no matter what attack he did on me, I'd hit it back really hard. So that clinches it. So I got this. So there you got to see one match against the max level Azrael. Again, you see it's very thematic, and depending on the matchup, you can actually have a pretty... that thing hitting for 85, wow. Depending on the matchup, you can actually have a pretty easy game even in the middle of these. I will say there's some very scary opponents in here, like Shazo Relai, the Battlesuit Tau Commander. There's a Farsight deck early on that has the Super Heavy that has Fear. That was a really challenging deck because you have got to kill that thing before Farsight deploys. Otherwise, Farsight will heal it back up to full health and you're pretty much done. So that's a really big thing. So key lessons I learned through playing this. If there's a Super Heavy, kill it. Hit it with target acquired, nail that thing and take it down, and try to keep your biggest pieces away from it so that they have time to build up a little bit first. The opposite lesson is true if it's a endless legendary. If it's either the Incarn or the Living Saint, Celestine herself. Don't bother killing that. Kill everything around it and then deal with it as it comes up. But if you focus all of your power on killing that endless card, it takes so long to take down that you'll lose more than you gain. So kill around that and then go from there. Ooh, Creed. He's only got a 9-card deck, so there's going to be some really big stuff in this. There, right there. First thing. Another thing to keep in mind is noticing your trait timing. So if there's a card like that one, he's going to drop 120 damage on me just flat out. So if I play a card that has less than that hit points, and he played that first before I played, then I need to be very careful because that card is going to kill mine before mine has a chance to activate. That hit me a couple times with some of the scarier super heavies and some of the nastier cards, so that is something definitely to watch out for. And this is the Master Tactician himself. The magic with Creed is that if one of his cards dies, his other cards redeploy, so he's got a lot of activate on deploy traits. Ooh, nice. Whose whole purpose is to replay multiple times. And hopefully he plays the 10. Oh boy, okay. Yeah, that's only got rank 2, that's not as bad. Okay, great. Alright, cool. So I haven't played most of my big players. This should not be a problem to take down. Man, what a jerk. And here it is tempting. Go ahead and do that. I'm probably going to regret that, but we did it. I am going to need to deal with this thing at some point. One of the ways to deal with Creed is to identify the really scary piece and just keep bouncing that sucker until it can't bounce anymore and then deal with it. In this campaign with these modifiers, that's probably the wrong play just because there are so many really heavy hitters. But I may not have a choice with that endless guy on the table, so we'll see how this goes. Well, that's a wipe. But it wasn't my top players. So I still have my Lord of Change in here. Good, here to do that. So here, my goal is going to be to take down this thing as quickly as possible without killing anything else to see if I can possibly not only beef up my own attack stats like crazy, but then also remove that, because it's a real threat. And I may be able to, I should be able to do it right here. Well, we'll see, because that target acquired adds a bunch of damage, but probably not enough. Yeah, okay. So I didn't kill it outright, and I am on fumes here, and there is still at least one scary tank in there, in addition to the ones I've seen. Ugh, yuck. Oh, perfect. Okay. So I got that, which also gave this guy a dramatic boost to his range stats. We'll go ahead and follow it up with a little taunt. I may regret that because he still has 6 cards in that deck. Yuck. Good news, though, is one of the cards that I bounced is a Guardsman, so I don't really mind bouncing that. And then we have our tank here again. If I lean on Psychic, I should be able to possibly take that. Oh, shit. Pardon my language. That's a downside to the Lord of Change, is you can accidentally take out the cards that cause additional bounces without even meaning to. So, whether I've got this or not depends completely on the other cards in the deck. So far, I've seen the same 3 cards redeployed. He's got 2 others in there. Ooh, that's not good. That may or may not be problematic. Okay, he may have me here. I may actually want to switch decks on this one. Creed himself, his stats are atrocious. But even with that, I don't think I have enough to finish this off. Especially with that. Okay, so that's not that bad. But considering where I'm at in the game, not great. That didn't go well. So there was a surprise thing that really messed me up there. Took a whole lot more damage than I needed to. I can try this deck again. That's one thing I want to be sure to emphasize too, is some of this comes down to luck. I mentioned that the really big decks are pretty challenging to get right because you could easily just pull all of the worst possible choices for deployment in the beginning and then just not have any other options. Practically guaranteed to lose this. Unless he does that. He may have just given this to me because Creed is going to pop over to the side, but he's still got Barrage, and Creed is a total slouch, but he's not that big of a slouch, and even this guy's ability is going to trigger. So he's still got me, but that ended up being a lot closer than I thought. Yeah, Creed himself doing the finishing blow. That was just insulting, buddy. All right, all right. Now I'm going to try a different deck, and then I will try again with that, but let's see how the Parasite does on this one. And the reason I want to do the Parasite in this specific matchup is you see all of these cards redeploying multiple times. If I can make the big cards into a liability, and have them do overflow damage. So instead of the cards bouncing, so one card dying also kills additional cards. There's that cascade ability with the Parasite that can get things really out of hand. And this deck is not actually very thick, so I'd only have to take out a couple key pieces to really completely neuter it. And I will freely admit that I've been experimenting a lot planning for this video and lost a lot. So I've recharged the campaign twice. So I've lost at least 10 games because that was 4 charges each, and then I'm missing 2 right now after that loss. So let's see if I can finish this out. I may not finish this completely. I don't know how... boy, that is an awful drop, but I know he's very ranged, so we'll do this guy. There's those shields. Shields, target acquired. And my initiative is a little bit higher, so ooh, nice. So on this one, I'm going first. Ooh, that's the one I really want to take down, but we'll take it. And now I hope that I'm not using too many legendaries or rare cards. I know that these are hard to get, particularly the Tyranid Prime here in the middle. That's a very, very scary card, or very rare card, I should say, and one that not a lot of people have access to, so hopefully that's not too big of an issue. So here I'm guaranteed to get at least 2 kills and put a big dent in this guy over here. Ouch. But we'll see how much it costs me to do that. So there we got the Endless, and before he bounces, I'll actually get the chance to finish him off. Nice. Okay, so that was totally worth it. I double killed an Endless card, killed one of the big guys. It hurt, but I did it. And it only cost me one of my relatively cheap cards here, actually. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So he's going to feed me this stuff a little bit at a time. I've already shaved 200 off that middle guy. It's still going to take a while to take it down, but it's totally reasonable to do this here. And it's going to be one of the good things about not getting any kills in a turn or two is you have that great occasion to actually finish off the thing you wanted to. Oof. That barrage, and oh god, that big game hunter. Yuck. Okay. Not great, but could be worse. So the advantage of that is that I still have the thing that I really want to kill in the middle of the table there. The downside, of course, is that that took out some pretty key players for me. And this deck has a problem with being almost entirely big game hunter fodder, aside from that. So let's see what I can do. Oh, I don't want to do that. And there's a downside that I actually... Oh, hey, that worked out. So what I was about to say is it sucks that I would have to kill that guy because that's the last thing I want to take out. Because that would trigger a bounce without me actually getting the damage that I need to. Oh, man. So much damage. We're running short of cards here. Running short of cards, running short of cards. Hey. But we are about to wipe this too, and then there are only 4 cards left. Most of them not particularly scary. That's going to be funny. The guardsman going down triggered the thing that killed everyone. Okay, so I've taken down the 2 biggest threats, but there's still the 1 tank, 2 tanks, and then another guardsman pair, I think. Oh, that thing. No, 3 tanks. Forgot about that one. So this still could easily turn against me, but we'll see if I can pull this off. I really only need to kill 1 of these. Oof. And that will be enough to trigger some big game hunter and really make a difference here. But looks like I'm not actually going to pull it off. Okay. Woof. And this isn't the worst spot to be in, except that my Warlord is on the table, which is not a good spot to be in. Now here, I may actually be able to pull this out. So here's what's going to go on. So Parasite's going to kill the tank in the middle. That's going to hurt both guys on the sides. That will kill this guy on the right and may give me enough for my Screamer Killer to finish off the guy on the left. In fact, I think it will. So then it's just me and Creed. So then it's just a matter of if Creed, and he can, he's going to punch me. He's going to do melee to kill me. No, it was so close. So that ended up real close. Man. And a lot of the ones, he shot me. What a jerk. All right, so then Creed himself has now killed me twice. So we can consider some of the other things we could possibly take here. This is one where, let me take a look at some of the other decks I've been using. I got my 3 strikes again. I'm going to recharge at least once, I'm pretty sure. So Parasite was very, very close. I think with a couple different draws, we could have done that differently. And I'm going to go ahead and swap out a card. I put this guy in here, take this guy out. This is closer to what I had before and what I actually used to take down some of the scary guys I've done. Let me see how else I could shuffle this. It's got that regen is nice. Let's see. Because this one was kind of a late add. I like it because it has more of that range defense, but for the cost, it doesn't actually have a very good melee attack stat. Hit points are okay. That it doesn't trigger Big Game Hunter is nice, but I don't know if it's nice enough to offset the other stuff. This guy also is not doing me much good here because I absolutely don't want to shoot. The return fire shooting is good, but I wonder what else I can put in there for this 43 points. Of course, normally Death Leaper is one of my absolute first takes on this just because of how absolutely insanely hard he hits. He'll hit for almost 500 damage just on landing. But usually he dies immediately after that because he doesn't have that many hit points. But maybe not. And I do have the 2 targeted. Let's go ahead and swap them out. Let's try it. All right, Death Leaper. And that, of course, is legendary for those following along at home, so he is a little bit more of a rare card. I don't know that I need the 2 target acquired. I like it. But let's see what I can do for this. So I got 27. I can do a lot with 27. Ooh, I can do you. It's not bad. It's not great. Not really what I want at 27. So just to kind of talk through it, what I want is another card, a card with shields, which would be great, or, I don't know, let's see. So one thing that really hurt in that last game, what are you going to do? Let's see. You're pretty great. Let's try this. This guy's not very good. He's got that ranged attack, which is nice, but let's see what else we can fit in here. 54. Which puts us at Serranus. Keep sort of bouncing around the same cards. Just tricky. This guy is amazing. One of the things I like about Death Sweat is he does have that death blow. It's really, really nice. We gotta take you out again. All right, we'll try this. We'll try it. We still have 7 outstanding points. Man, okay. So we're looking at 40, and this guy just doesn't have the hit points to justify it, even if he does have really, really good ranged attack. And the ranged attack is nice in this one. But that death blow is really nice too. So we're looking at either 40 or 42. Just those two. Okay, we can do it. We'll do this. We'll put you back in there. We'll see. All right, so I got Death Sweat in here. I took out the other target acquired. We'll see how this goes. I've got the additional Death Blow, which is nice, in case I'm really just taking a beating here. And I make no apologies. This is going to be a longer video. Hopefully the deck building and the play is interesting enough to keep you here. We'll see. Try not to make it too long. All right, so starter. We want this guy out here. I want to try to take out the... Oh, perfect. I want to play my death blows a little bit earlier so that they have a chance to build up a bit, to build up their stats a bit. Oh, sweet. Let's make a mess. If he's just going to feed me these guys so I can just prevent the bounces later, I'm all for it. So with the modifier and then also Berserk on this guy, Death Sweat charges up to be a very terrifying death blow at some point. And so even if he goes down, he's going to go down kicking and screaming. Let's see if he bounces these guys back. Oh, I got another one. A lot of the times Creed decks, the AI player will replay the same cards, even if it's not the best play, like that right there. That was an awful play. Sweet. So this will give me a chance to actually wipe these guys and then not have to worry about them later. And then still do pretty significant damage to the flyer there. Da, 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 da. Oof, boy, that's what you're taking a beating. But again, the thing I'm actually really scared about is something I should have thought about before, is the big game hunter card, which is something I talked about in my intro and then just forgot about. I guess there are 2 of them, and they are really gonna ruin my day here. Okay, that one's already infected. This one's becoming infected. It is kind of a bummer that my big shooter guy is in the middle here, because he's probably gonna die. But maybe I'll take down a couple of these with me. So that death blow is gonna kill that guy, do damage to this thing twice. Very nice. And then that will also do damage over here, but isn't going to be enough to kill that. But that set up a big bomb. One of the best things you could possibly hope for in a Parasite deck is something like that, where there's a card that's infested and damaged that has high hit points base, so that whenever it comes back into play, you can trigger it and cause a lot of havoc. Okay, so there's the other big, or that's the one I was just hitting. Yeah, so it's already infected. Man. Let's go here and see what pops down. Hopefully, it's the injured card. No. Nuts. Okay. Boy. That was poor playing on my part. It could still work out. I should be able to kill this thing in the middle fairly easily, which then will allow me to set up another bomb for the next line of dudes. Unless I accidentally kill that thing outright, like I just did. But so that went really well, because I have Creed right in front of me with nothing else to hide him. So just to kind of recap there, I got really lucky with deploys. I had a couple really good draws where the AI played directly into my hands there. And a couple of the cards it added, I think, were just a little bit better. Like Death Leaper, I should always bring Death Leaper with my Parasite deck. But this probably would have gone better without him, again, just because of those deploys. Like I had some really, really good luck in terms of what cards I had in front of me when, and that really helped make the difference here. Let's see if I can take this guy down. I don't think I can. But even if I can't, my final card is the Parasite itself that has a pretty remarkable Furious Charge. So assuming he doesn't wipe me on my turn, then I'll still have a little padding, and the Parasite should be comfortably able to jump in here. Look, that hurt. Okay, so here comes the Parasite. Here comes the Parasite. Ba-da-da-ba-da. Who will be at full health this time. So I had a pretty comfortable lead, then zeroed in uncomfortably. Oh yeah, okay, I got him. No problem. Smack, and then smack. Could get cheeky and shoot him, but no, that's stupid. I'll just punch him. Okay, so I've now taken down Creed on my third try. And now Parasite took down Creed. So I do think that Huron deck could have gone up against this, but it's a really, really bad matchup with all those redeploys and the big game hunters moving. And Parasite was able to use those giant moving lumps of bomb against it. So this is where the Parasite's a really powerful piece to have in this campaign. And it's just one of my favorite decks to play. It's just a really interesting mechanic to try to figure out the positioning and such with that. Okay, so we've got 4 more matches to play. I'm probably not going to make it through all of them, but I'm going to go ahead and try. I'll see if I can power through this, and this may be a longer video. Apologies in advance for that, but we'll see. So, again, 4 wins. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, 4 more, I said that. And 1 more strike. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and bust out the Swarm Lord, just to show that deck, and we'll see if he can pull this off. This is one of those ones where the Swarm Lord himself is very good at pulling out these wins at the end of a game, just because his stats are amazing, on top of having level 4 shields, and usually having 1 or 2 bodyguards there to kind of help out. Yeah. And what... Oh, no. That's actually very good, because I have a very Psychic-themed deck, even though my end game is very heavy melee. Oh, really? Plays a Psychic first thing. Alright, cool. We'll poison that so it stops regenning. And then we'll just do some damage. Oh. Okay, crap. That's where I want my poison to go. Oh, man. Alright. So he's only got, what is that, 8 bodyguards in there? So I've got 3 cards on the table, 6 in the deck. So there are 5 and 3, yeah. So 8 bodyguards, so it should be relatively small, but that's why you see a freaking Wraith Knight in there. And of course we one-shot my Poison Psyker, which is unfortunate. This is where kind of a fun piece comes into play. This thing has Fear, which I really, really like. So I've got 2 area effect Psykers that also have Fear. So they're... Well, the one also has Fear. So they've got some... and his melee is going to be unappealing next round because it's been hit by the Swarmlord's ability. But still, I am already bleeding cards quite a bit faster than I want to. I haven't killed anything yet, and I'm already down 2 cards. Neither one being a really high power card. But this is already looking like a game that would have been better with the Parasite, because I could have been wailing on this Wraith Knight to really make some offensive difference. But we'll see. I am definitely making progress on the Wraith Knight, and I just dropped Inspire, yeah, so that should supercharge my psychic attacks. And I'm getting a little bit lucky on the drops for who's getting buffed with those melee attacks. Oh, no, not that lucky. Ugh. And that's where I should have saved my poison. Oh, gross. I knew scary stuff was coming, but I had hoped it wasn't quite this scary. Okay, that actually turned out okay. And this, again, is one of those weird ones where every time I run a Swarmlord deck, I feel like I'm losing the entire game, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, I just won. I can't promise this will be the case, but we'll see. I did take down the Wraith Knight. I'm making progress in some of the scarier opponents, so the Wraith Knight and the Wraith Seer are both gone. Wraith Lord I'm a lot less concerned about. Don't love it, but it's definitely not as scary as some of the other stuff I could see, and I'm not... outright dying as kind of aggressively as I had expected to. It's like looking at that. So I mean, this middle guy's dead anyway, so I might as well not worry about that too much. Gonna have some nasty death blow. We'll go ahead and charge that. He's probably gonna start hitting me in melee. No surprise at all. Ooh, hello. And this is one of the things about Swarmlord is you can really play him early, and now it's a lot less appealing to go ahead and actually punch this. So he's probably going to shoot me. Yeah, there he goes. I swear I didn't see that before he did it. Now, I've been building up melee. I should be able to hit. I don't want to do melee against the Avatar if I can avoid it at all. Yeah, let's do that. One thing I was about to mention too about shields is shields get dramatically more... Oh, that's bad. Shields get dramatically more valuable the higher the hit points of the shielded card. So there are plenty of cases in this where I was finding that I could punch damage through shields. Just because I was hitting so hard that would overwhelm the shields. But when the target that has the shields is starting with, what, 400 hit points, you have to really hit hard to get over that. Up to 60% of its starting health. So I think you'd have to hit it for, what is that, starting at 400? You'd have to hit it for 300, give or take, to actually have any chance of bringing it down. How many shields we got? We got 1 shield left. So this is a Hail Mary here. So this is close, so I have to do something. Range won't do me any benefit. What's his melee attack? He's got 171 and 260 with a debuff. So the debuff may save my butt, but we'll see if I can actually deal enough to kill this. So if he hits me in melee, I should survive. That was dumb. that was, he just handed me the game. Okay, sweet. So that probably means that he didn't actually have it. If he'd done melee, I probably would have won anyway, but I got that one. Cool. Whew, man. Okay, so Swarmlord beat the Avatar. First try. Ooh. So now we're down to 3 games. And we don't know what else is in there. I'm pretty sure there's an incredibly unfair rowboat deck in here somewhere. So we'll just have to go ahead and dive in and see that. One more to get my 4 card packs. Who are we going to go ahead and play this time? I could play the Swarmlord again just to see what it is. Let me see what other decks I have. I may go ahead and play Stormlord just to mix things up and show off some other factions. And again, I mentioned that if you do see the Incarn, try to ignore it if at all possible. And there I got lucky that I could. It was deployed late enough in the game that I could ignore it and kill around. Okay. Are we going to see a Votann? Hold up. Votann wasn't in the list of factions you could play against. Come on now. Are we going to see a Votann Super Heavy that we haven't seen before? Ooh, that's a big... so much for readying. Which I suppose I still can. He's really not going to hit very hard. This is actually a really good matchup because the Stormlord's attack, the just free psychic, the 20 damage that goes through shields, or that just happens to enemies whenever you ready. Wow, I just completely messed that up. So we're going to go ahead and see it. So Swarmlord, whenever you ready. Stormlord, whenever you ready. Your card, yeah, Stormlord himself does a random 20 damage to a random enemy. Good, just see if I can hit that. And that will go through shields and also doesn't count as coming from the card that actually triggered it. So if I'm readying and it kills one of his cards, it's not going to trigger Uthar's trait. I don't think it's going to be super heavy, but I bet we see multiples of both of these. And a bunch of shields, that's not great. But so far I feel pretty good about this. I'm losing things very slowly, and I've already done some pretty significant damage to a couple key cards. And I can do 60-ish free damage per turn. Now, it's not going to be terribly significant, but if some of these are injured, and also, as you can see, I'm punching through shields, that is going to make a difference. So I should actually be able to take this guy out. Yeah, especially with that buff. Punch right through those shields. Not quite enough, but close. Man, this guy's effed. Nice. Okay. Let's see if I can play a ready. That guy will basically guarantee that I kill this dude if he shoots. Doing psychic, are we? Now, this is a bit of a bummer because I kind of want to do the same thing, but we're going to go ahead and go ranged. The only guy that's really shooting me back is going to be the tank over there. Ooh, gross. Ugh. Uthar is pretty great, but one of the things about him is that his ability takes a while to build up. And while it's building up, it's not that scary, but it does make him a very frightening endgame piece. And I am bleeding cards pretty aggressively here. Which is not what we want. And this fricker's still sitting on a shield. Dang, okay. Got 145. Alright, I love it. Now the Psyker's gone, so I don't have to worry as much about taking Psychic Return Fire. That was the final shield on this crazy thing, but it's still alive. And my Necron deck doesn't have any target acquired. So that is something to watch out for. Excuse me. Okay, alright. What else do we have? Got this guy. How are we doing? I'm concerned that this guy's just going to one-shot me. Ah, perfect. I've got a range debuff. Alright, so that may keep me alive long enough to take out this thing. And that'll help. And then I do still have the Swarm Lord himself. Storm Lord himself. Oh, yeah, alright. So not quite a wipe, but pretty darn close. And I will have a free lane, which is going to be on the side of Magladroth, which is awesome. But I will be facing down Uthar. And I'm not really clear how scary he actually is. And also that free lane. Oh, no, it's not a free lane anymore. Ooh, it's bad. We'll see. God, 3 shields. Ah, it's going to take a while to get through. Okay, so this would have been better if I'd gone a very psychic aggressive deck. So I should have actually stuck with my last deck. Yeah. It's probably just got me outright. Maybe, maybe not. That was a fairly charged up man. Wow, no, he just has that high. Wow, okay. This is probably a lot of people's first time seeing max leveled. How do we do it? So the gamble here is if this is enough to punch through his shields with that big game hunter. We'll go ahead and try it because I'm about to lose anyway. Ooh, it's close. Oh! Alright, I did not see that coming. I should have been able to do the math and seen that coming, but that was lucky. Ooh, man. Okay. So that was actually a really terrible matchup for the Stormlord because of... it's a tall deck where I had a few very high-powered cards and then some cheaper ones kind of mixed in there. Sweet. Alright, we only have 2 more to go. Let's see if we can do it. See if Gulamon can take us out. Just making a note that Stormlord took down Uthar. Proud of that play. Very proud of that. I'm glad that I got that on record to go ahead and show that. Now let's see. Watch my sound is all jacked up. Nah, that's right. This should be fine. Ooh, and a legendary. What do we get? Gaz himself. Gaz is the card I thought I was going to actually max out first. Okay. Gonna gamble on this one. So it's... I did not click on that, but all right. The Lion himself. Okay. Bad matchup? We'll see. It's not too bad. Kind of see how this goes. We'll see how much Psychic it has. Now, usually these Lion decks are pretty heavily Dark Angels focused, so there's maybe 1 Psyker, but not too many. Which I really appreciate about that they're so thematic. That's kind of that's a fun thing. And this is a very scary ranged deck, so I should be able to pretty much match toe-to-toe with a lot of these guys. I've got Heavy Fear, I've got a lot of hit points, I've got some regen. That is a huge... Wow, okay. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it's going to hit me real hard here. But with Fear, some Inspire on my own side, that was could have been a whole lot worse. And I should actually be able to kill that right back. So as much as that was pretty hard hit, it was nothing compared to what it could have been. So I'm now up 3, where I've taken down 3 cards without losing any, but he's still got 12 cards in the deck. Now, good news is that means they probably all suck. Bad news is that's a lot of cards to fight through. And at least one hidden in there somewhere is going to be that Dark Angel who has that big game hunter. And the Lion, I think, has... Yeah, so he's like the mask, and then also he's got the free attacks when the Warlord is on the table. Did he just ready? Really? Okay, alright. Now let's see, his ranged is that, his melee is that. Do I have any... What's his melee? 90 against my 65? Yeah, I mean... Pretty sure I'm about to lose my dude anyway. Oh, that was a gamble. I forgot they attack first. Now, he's probably going to hit me with Psychic. Or Melee, because he's got a big beef. No, Psychic. Sweet. Okay, so that actually saved... It is... One thing to remember in this is even if you feel down, even if things are going a little bit poorly, you can count on the AI sometimes giving you a bone. and giving you exactly what you need there. So I'm doing this because it'll kill the Psyker on the side here, even if it may potentially cost me Magladroth. But probably not. And Emberesh lives. He's gonna shoot me. Probably, yeah, no, he's got a big old buff on that one. Yeah, actually, Magladroth lives. Wow. I've been very surprised at how survivable some of these cards have been in this this whole campaign. It's been pretty remarkable. And here we're going to play a bit conservative. I'll give Magladroth a little time to charge up. Rely on this to take down some of these buffs he's got going on and do some free damage. And see if we can go ahead and let that kind of decay. And then on defense, when he's shooting at me, I'll go ahead and try to pare down some of these shields. That is risky. I don't have any regen going. Ooh, I don't really have any regen going on here, so... okay. What's this? That means that when my cards start bleeding health, they really do start getting hurt. I am also a little concerned about this because the Stormlord is a pretty good endgame piece, but he's not necessarily good enough that I would bet him against the Lion, especially depending on what bodyguards he's got in there. But we'll see. Man, these shields, max level shields, take so long to get through. Oh, there we go. And again, like this is, I'm getting so many favors from the draws here, and this probably still is the end for Magladroth, but I've been saying that for like 3 turns. It is... All right. If I win this, it's going to be entirely because he just completely failed to take this dude down. This is funny. And so looking at this now, the warlords that are on, or the cards that are on the board when the Lion himself drops are not very impressive. You know what? What's he going to do? I bet he doesn't hit me for melee, which gives me another chance to take out the Inquisitor over here. Yeah, so the melee debuffs are saving my butt here. Just to go ahead and call that out. Being able to reduce his offense attack so he doesn't really want to do it is absolutely huge here. So this should turn into... Oh, no! Okay, dang it. All right, I played right into that. I still should be totally fine. He's got 3 shields, but, I mean, the Lion is a scary combatant. Wow, what did that just say? But the thing that makes him scariest is just that... there's a lot of things that make that scary, actually. I'm quite afraid of that thing. That was a pretty insane melee attack I just saw. 201. Okay, all right. And so on defense, how many shields does he got? He's still got 3 freaking shields. Wow. Okay. Okay, so good news here is he's only got 2 shields left. No matter what he hits me with this turn, assuming that I live, I should be able to finish him off. Because unless he does Psychic right back at me, he doesn't have a Psychic attack, but his Psychic, he could ready. And I'm not really going to plink him that much, but those plinks may make all the difference. I can't punch through the... you jerk. What are you doing? No. Okay. But I still have the melee debuff, right? No, I don't. I have a range debuff. He's got 2 more shields, so the only time I can punch him... I'm going to risk this. The only time I can actually hit him is when I'm sure that Magladroth is going to have lethal on the end, which I'm fairly sure I did already, but I almost certainly will now. Assuming he doesn't get lethal on me first. Okay. So still avoiding it, which has me fairly certain that I can go ahead and knock this through. So what I'm saying is, Seamet and the Swarmlord himself are going to... I keep doing that. The Stormlord himself... I've got 400 hit points. He's hitting for 200. It's going to be a while before he gets all the way through that. 164, almost doubled, is going to be close to 300. I should have it, but we'll gamble one more time. I'm going to kick myself if he actually pulls this off. But so I'm bringing down his total hit points. I'm upping my own offensive output, but at the risk that he is also upping his offensive output. Okay, so that was what I needed. I'm going to go ahead and risk it this time. Because even Seamet has been sitting here for long enough. He should actually punch some damage through the shield. That should guarantee this. Oh, I forgot about that. Boy, that is... Oof, man. And then, yeah, boom, got it. Whew. Okay. There's your big game hunter and your regens coming in clutch, but that was close. That probably wasn't that close. I probably had him last turn too, but still, that, and his attacking first is something I'd totally forgotten about that made it an even bigger gamble. The Lion 2 fell to. Alright, so this is the last fight. I bet it's Guliman and something horrendously unfair. So, what are we going to play? And I've got one more strike, unless I redo it. We're going to go ahead and play the Swarm Lord, because he's one of the best endgame pieces in the game. And then if he can't do it, we'll go ahead and draw Huron, and we'll just kind of see how this goes. Old rowboat himself. Okay. Very frightening. And he's got me... He does not have that many bodyguards, so that's good. Don't know. Alright, losing our connection. That would be real unfortunate to lose this strike because we got to disconnect, but we'll see where this goes. Whew, okay. Ooh, man. Alright, so here I've talked about poison not being that good. Not that good is not the right term, but it's something that you don't want to rely on. But here in this case, he's only sitting on 250 health. That should be a good way to take him down. What is his abilities again? So they all have plus 25 attack, and they're ready for double. All in all, that's not that bad. But I'm guessing the bodyguards themselves are going to be just truly terrifying. That said, I am running with the Swarm Lord, who will counter that ready tool, which is a nice counter there. And also the Swarm Lord himself is one of the only warlords in the game that can stand toe-to-toe with this thing and potentially take him down. Does he have shields? No, no shields. Wow, God, the Lion is a dirty cheater. All right. Now then. I'm going to give you some extra fear. And now what I'm counting on is Moloch to take out this dude, and then in his death blow also take out... I miscalculated, but it worked out. So I took him down. Took down Uriel Ventress too. Nice. Drop some shields in the middle there. Doing okay. Ooh, good call. I'm still bleeding cards. So far I haven't seen anything too scary, so this may actually not end up being too bad of a match, but we will see shortly. I will say I do really appreciate having this guy here for the ranged counterattack, because that could really make a difference in chewing through this stuff. Again, wow, God, I need some melee debuff, or to have him do a melee attack. Because if he swings that hard, he may actually be able to punch through the Swarm Lord's shields. That'd be quite something. But yeah, again, Swarm Lord's funny because you feel like you're losing all game and then suddenly you win. Bop, bop, bop. We're getting through here. And again, your deck ends up pretty thin. So, because you just sacrifice so much in taking something that costs as much as the Swarm Lord. Oh, you jerk. Of course Tigurius is with him. Good news on that, though, is I have a pretty good deck to counter that, because my other AoE Psyker has Fear. And he really doesn't want... Oh, God, that melee charge. Now I've still got several cards in the deck, so I can really give him some trouble here. But then we'll have Gulamon himself on the board, which is a problem. Oof. Scary, scary. The good news, though, is that this can hold up Tigurius for a while, which will free me up to do psychic attacks, which I can use. He doesn't have psychic. Sure does have range, though. Yuck. Okay, so he doesn't have psychic, which will let me soften him up a bit. God, that... Watch him one-shot me. Watch him just nail me with a melee attack that just kills me. If he doesn't, I should be able to chainsaw through him for a bit with psychic. This should take down this guy, and I'll be able to hit him a bit with psychic and take him down. If I take him down first try, that'll be a first, and I'll be so proud. This Gulamon usually gives me a whole lot of trouble. Nice. Okay. Do not one-shot me. Do not one-shot me. Don't do it. Don't you dare. 900. Son of a biscuit. Okay, of course. Of course it didn't work. All right. But now I know what's in the deck. I know I'm fighting. I know what's going on here. So we're going to think about what we saw. We've got nothing too terrifying, honestly. It's not bad. It's just a lot to chew through. It's all just Space Marines hitting a little bit harder. But the big scary thing is Gulamon himself. And if the Swarm Lord can't stand up to him in a single hit, we probably don't. We'll just recharge that. We'll go ahead and try this. You're on deck. We probably don't want to rely on the Swarm Lord, because the whole kitsch of the Swarm Lord is he can go toe-to-toe with the scariest warlords at the end game. But with that, we don't want our warlord on the board in the end game. So we want a very dangerous deck that can have some staying power and have at least a couple ablative cards and some high damage cards nailing Gulamon from the wings in the end game, which is where Huron really excels. Cool, Lord of Change first thing. Excellent. We're watching out for the couple big game hunters we saw. Because there was Ventress and then also the ranged guy. Okay, so when you know what some of this stuff is, that's a really good time to... That was a mistake, but that's okay. Okay, yep, cool. Kind of a mistake. With what I've got here, he's going to be hard-pressed to figure out what to do. Is he going to do melee? Is he going to do ranged? I would... and I may have set that up poorly. So when you're playing against the computer, you can kind of cheese it. Had I not played this thing, I could pretty much guarantee that he'd be inclined to shoot. But now that this thing is here, there's high odds that he'll be inclined to do melee, which could actually hurt me. But we'll see. And then... Ooh, that's not good. But I've got range now. Whoa. And I've got the debuff too, which is awesome. Ooh, that hurts. But I do still have a Medicae in here, so there's still a decent chance of me coming out of this. And also I'm taking down... I'm getting a lot of ranged attack on my Lord of Change, which is great. Yep, there he is. Now, I can probably do this without the Lord of Change, but I really don't want to. So that was a poor play on my part. I should have put something else there to kind of shield the Lord of Change, to kind of discourage exactly what just happened. But I should have the ranged I need to take down Calgar. Oh, of course. Well, that kind of nixes things. Okay, so this is a very tricky decision. Do I shoot Calgar? Yeah, I shoot Calgar. And almost take out this plane over here, which is nice. Whatever drops in the middle is going to take out my flyer. Yeah, right away. And this is where I get wiped. Okay, but so the entire way that I got wiped here is positioning on my part. I still have 5 cards in the deck, but oh, come on. I don't know what's doing that. Man, this would be a terrible way to get a loss. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Oh, whew, thank goodness. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and pop this guy here. This guy here, because he's the one that's actually going to face down Gulamon himself. This is a terrible selection of cards left over. Yeah, so here's where I really messed up. I played all of my power cards right in the beginnings, and you're going to lose cards throughout the thing, no matter what. And so what I did was really set... Actually, that worked out pretty well. But what I did was set it up so that my most powerful cards were going to be the ones that died. Instead of sprinkling them through to make sure that I had one left in the end. That was a mistake. But this actually could still work out for me. Because he has to do that. It's still not good. But also because of how I did this. 258. God, that's a lot of... That's so much damage. Yeah, so right here, like, this is exactly, like, the last possible thing I want to have. Because what sucks is the best attack move I can make is ready. So I do, the biggest reason that I lost this, and I'm going to play one more after this one. You know what, I'm going to play until I get him. We'll see. It's a long video, whatever. We'll have to deal. Yeah, but because of how I set up, he was using melee throughout, which is really good because it means that... Oh, what? Alright. Watch him kill me with Psychic now. Yep. Yeah, jerk. Okay. Tigurius is a problem, but he's not the problem. Okay, we're going to play that again. And again, rethink our deployment. Because what those target acquired cards are supposed to do is let you clear your way to the end game faster with some still power cards on the table. You absolutely do not want your target acquired to be some of the last cards left in your deck, because then that's taking away attacks that would normally hit the opposing Warlord. Also, my positioning was unfortunate because I managed to lose all of my power cards all at once in a way that I shouldn't necessarily have done. So we'll go ahead and go over here. Okay, that's good. That's a card I really don't mind having on the board early. Okay, that one too. So he's going to be shooting me. And that was a gamble. You gotta, because his Furious Charge was going to trigger before my target acquired. And you almost saw me lose my target acquired before it went off. Which I did not, but I could have. And so I played, ooh, that's a bummer. He's probably still going to shoot me here because he doesn't want to, yeah, because he doesn't want to hit me in melee still. Oof. Brutal. Okay. Now what I'm hoping for is my other target acquired. Sweet, okay. It's a little bit weird to play that, but I want to take out the scarier target acquired. He's the scarier target acquired, especially because I'm leaning on melee attacks. Nice. Wow, 65 melee. Dang. Okay. And there I could also pretty dramatically be underestimating these cards. Just being like, well, they're just Ultramarines, whatever. But they're not. They're Gulamon Ultramarines. They are ultimate rowboats. So they are quite scary. Okay. So pop you here. And we're going to pop you here. And that may not have been the right play, but I'm hoping to keep the Lord of Change up later so he can help me deal with the shields on Rowboat. Not Rowboat. Tigurius. I don't necessarily want to bank on taking out Tigurius, but I don't want him to be unchecked either. Oh, we'll get him early. Probably going to shoot me. Okay. He did not. He's going to psychic me, which was a interesting choice. So we will shoot him. And now here, the problem child in this match is going to be... What's his face? The most challenging piece I'm going to have to deal with here is going to be... God, what's his name? Calgar. So I gotta watch out for him. And I've only got 2 cards left in the... So he... Okay. Alright. Very nice. Don't love him in front of that guy, but... So that, unfortunately, means that the next card I take out, which is going to be this guy on the right, is going to give me... It's going to drop Calgar on me. Oh, God. Okay, we don't want to do that. Yuck. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do. So there's no really good options there. Because I don't want to take too much damage on my guy, but I also don't want to have my Lord of Change go toe-to-toe with that kind of melee charge. Yeah, gross. Okay. He's going to take out my Lord of Change again. He's going to take out both of my pieces again. Yuck. Crap. Okay. So I may need to try a different warlord. And actually, one that's always fun to try against Gulamon, one that has really done well for me against Gulamon, is Glogothrox. Maybe just the thing for this one. And you jerk. And he, of course, he's got Tigurius over there just hanging out in the wing, so I can't even hit him with Psychic. God, Tigurius is so obnoxious. These guys are all really obnoxious. Okay. Yeah, let's just punch him. Okay, so we're looking at a bunch of cards. They don't get more powerful over time, but they have a lot of readies and they start with very, very high stats. So what we need to do is take a bunch of cards that will blunt that. You need lots of fear, you need lots of poison. And I have actually taken down Gulamon with Glogothrox before. I don't remember if it was this many deck points, though, so let's go ahead and see. And we're going to change it up a bit. So oftentimes I would go ahead and bring... Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and start with these 2. These are still really, really powerful pieces that I like a lot. Maybe I just take more of them and then fill with my cheap taunts and endless. Now I've got 2 heavy-hitting regen cards in here, and that's one of the goals. We'll do him here, him here. Where's my other endless? I know I have more. You here. Okay, so stepping back to take a look at this. This is not a Huron deck, so they won't gain power based on what they kill, but that wasn't really helping me that much in the last couple rounds. I've got 2 heavy regens, 1 heavy fear, an inspire and a furious charge, a death blow, who will definitely make a difference going down, and then some endless, so I can feed those guys to the end game cards to kind of blunt their attacks. This is still a challenge, though. I think I probably need to bring some shields, but we'll see. All right, so right off the bat we have somebody who's just going to negate being afraid, so that's all right. Wow, are you serious? Okay, here. Let's go. I'm gonna punch him with poison first thing. And then... God. Okay, this is my first time playing with this particular build. We'll see how this goes. This could go horrendously badly or great, depending on just how much range damage that does. That was a lot. I didn't really want that. But, oh, I didn't want that either. Of course, C goes first. Of course you do, Guliman. But so that does give me a chance to poison Tigurius right out of the gate, which will really help kind of slow him down. Oh man, you're putting all the Furious Chargers, or all the Death Blows, or all big game hunters over there. My poor Keeper of Secrets. But that fear should let that Keeper of Secrets do just fine. And one great thing that's going on is my Great and Clean One is holding down the fort in the middle, and my Bloodthirster is actually clearing cards to the right. So as this is going on, I'm making pretty great progress. Oh, good. Great. What sucks here, though, is that's how I lose my Great and Clean One. Because it's now his turn. And that's how I lose both of them. Good God. Okay. They've all been Gloggothroxed, and these are the 3 most dangerous pieces that I want gone, so that at least is good. Let's see if I can take out some of these shields. Ooh, his last shield is already gone. Ooh, sweet. There we go. Okay. Forgot I had Silesk in there. No, it's not totally gone. So these are the scariest pieces. All the scariest pieces are gone at this point. I've already taken care of them. Tigurius himself is about to go down, and so is that guy. And he's still got the flyer, that one. And that guy, who I'm really not scared of. Who's the last card? I gotta remember who that is. I think it's another just random shooty guy that's not particularly scary. So this is going well. Could turn around at any moment. But that is the end of that guy. Okay. Oh, you in there. All right. All right. And he's hitting for 105. So, oh, he's inspired. Womp womp. And we've got a connection issue. Yay. Okay, so just kind of talking through what I'm planning to do here. So I want to keep my Lord of Change alive. He's going to go ahead and keep kind of building up Psychic. I need to deal with that plane, which is really unfortunate. I need to deal with one of these guys, ideally both. And I also need to save an Endless card for Guliman himself. I probably don't have enough. Unless he keeps doing that. So really, I mean, there's potential here, but I lost all 3 of my main greater demons to a bad kind of deal there. It's just kind of a matter of re-rolling what you hit. So, okay, hold up. So this is good. So that's going to take out 2 of my Endless cards, which is not good, but then I'll have a perfect opportunity to take out this guy and this guy in the following turn. Maybe. And then Gloggothrox himself will be up against Guliman. But I still don't think I have the hitting power to take him down. Exact change on that. Ooh, double melee debuff. That'll help. But still, so Guliman himself is now hit with Max Fear, but he's also got Max Inspire, which will kind of counteract that, and then also has not been hit with any... Oof. And he's got that freaking flyer. Okay. Yeah, I mean... As they say, there was an attempt. And he'll take me out relatively comfortably. Okay. Excuse me. But I think the main issue there was deployment, and what sucks about this is, like, yes, I'm one of the most challenging things about the Gulamon matchups, and this is actually something I had never really grasped. The most challenging piece is that the cards that are deployed against you are deployed in such a way that they're actually very unpredictable, and they're all pieces that are very powerful, so wherever they end up, they are impactful. So where most of the other decks I talked about, I don't know if the AI is just better with Gulamon or what, but in most of the other decks I talked about how they... how you can kind of get lucky, where they'll make decisions that are kind of wonky, or they'll just do stuff that really works out in your favor. That will not happen with Gulamon. You can end up in a really, really bad spot really quick. And so here this deployment is better, but I'm already going to be bleeding some of my endless cards. And for all the disadvantages of that last deploy, I did have Tigurius poisoned from turn 1, so I was actually able to bring him down. It takes so long to bring him down that I probably won't be able to do that again. Man, okay. And if he's still on the board at the end, I need something very, very sturdy to take him down, or I'm in real trouble. Yuck. And this guy, his ranged attack is actually really impactful. That is unexpected. Watch me just lose outright right here in the beginning. And there's that big game hunter. Man. All right. Now I still have 2 Greater Demons and my Inspire card, so I could punch right through this. So you in here. You in here. And you in here. I was just thinking I could try running Huron just with all the Greater Demons. And then some of the cheap taunts, and then see how that goes. This gives me an intense spread, but now all the other scary stuff is going to drop. Now that guy's not scary. That guy's scary. Although less scary with the fear across from him. Ooh, excuse me. Whoa. Whoa, it hurts. Just insane amounts of damage. And I haven't even hit all the scary stuff. Now, the one thing that's a real bummer about this is we've all fought against Gulamon enough times that this shouldn't be that difficult. Like, I should be able to take the guy down. But every time is a challenge. Okay. Now, what's my second to last card? It is going to be my Medicaid. Nope, nope, this is not that deck. Okay, interesting. And frickin' Tigurius is still there. For a half second, I actually totally forgot I was playing Glogothrox. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call it after this one just because of the disconnects. I'm going to keep trying, just for a little bit longer. But, you know what? Let me know your success stories. Let me know if you get him. I would love to hear what works against him, and, yeah. You know what? No. One more time, we're going to try with the Parasite. Because this is not... what's his name? Yeah, whatever. This is all right. Last time, I swear, this video is getting really, really long. If you're still here, I really appreciate it. But yeah, this is not Akaran. All I have to do is take these guys out quickly and make those hits count, which I should be able to do here. And I got 4 more tries just burning through all the plasma. And you're probably in there just screaming at your computer or phone going like, do this! How have you not seen how to beat him? And I'm just sitting here getting tired and running out of steam. But no, Parasite's got a bunch of advantages. Number 1, every time you take out a card, it also hits neighboring cards. Very good. Number 2, has damage that will go through shields. Awesome. Number 3, has quite a scary spread out deck. So that you can do... let's see... so that you don't lose steam the same way a lot of the other stuff I've been running does. Woof. But man, you really need that. You need that extra punch to take these guys down, because that is... oh man, that is some hard-hitting stuff. Oh look, okay, cool. I was flat out expecting my Tyranid Prime over here just to outright die before he even got to do anything, but instead he's actually going to be the kind of pivotal piece. Ooh, look at that. We almost got this guy down to 31, and he is not infected, but that's okay. So that's 2 for none. I haven't lost any cards. Oh, I'm about to. So 2 for 2, probably, maybe worse. Yeah, let's see. Because if he does ranged... Yeah, okay. That could have been a lot worse. It's not good, but it's not awful. Pop that here, and we have that shielded anti-ranged attacker there, which is really nice. We'll say I did definitely lose some clutch pieces in that initial exchange, which is not great. He does not cost 40 points. Boom! There you go, big game hunter. Oh yeah. Still only have 3 cards in the deck, but the stuff I have on the board is very impactful. Oh, come on. It's not usually this bad. I'm in kind of a weird spot in the house, so it's not like the disconnects aren't totally shocking, but that they're happening at least once every single game is obnoxious. Okay. Let's power through this. Splat. And that's huge. Taking out, like, having moments where you actually get the kills instead of kind of having cards peter around is really, really big for finishing off this match. I'm very sad that that happened there, not the flyer. The flyer is going to be there, and that's not great. But it could be worse. Oh, he's got a bit. Now, the death blow is also nice because it does apply that infect, which is good. Now, is this going to be enough to take out the plane? It should be. Yeah, which then will hit old Tigurius himself pretty hard. And now I've got a fear card across from Tigurius. I still have shields on the table, and I've got a very frightening death blow right in front of Gulamon himself. But I don't have any bombs primed to the sides of him. So I still don't think I have enough to take down Guilliman himself. And that's something I really, really need. 300 damage, you jerk. Although, how much damage are you dealing? 79. Okay, so now I really need to play this out a bit. Okay, so here's my thought. I should be able to do almost enough damage to take out the guy to the right. I'm going to hit him really, really hard. We'll see how this goes. Because if I am able to tank the next shot or two and take out... Oh, perfect. You stupid fool. I think he just gave it to me. So Parasite's going to hit on the drop. And then I should be able to take out both these guys on the wings, who will do enough in their death blow throws to actually take this guy down, especially in combination with the Parasite's main attack. Ooh. So that more or less gave it to me because of the attack type he chose. He could have done literally anything else and I would have lost that, but I got him that time. All right, you have now made it. We did it. We beat the campaign all the way through, and it was the Parasite of Mortrax that dealt the killing blow. That's one of those wild things about those Huron decks is I really, really like him. He's crazy good all the way through, but he's always let me down in the final rounds against Guilliman. And I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, if my deck is wrong, I don't know. But I am glad to take that guy down, because there have been more than a few campaigns where I did not beat Guilliman. And there we have it. You did great. Cheers, good luck.